topic and said, "We know that God is perfect. We all believe this, but I ask you, look at my son. He will never understand things like most kids. He will never play sports like most kids. So tell me, where is God's perfection in him?" Well, of course, the audience was taken aback a little bit, but he continued and said, "I believe that's when God brings a child like my son into the world. The perfection that he seeks is not in what the child might do, but in the way people react to that child." So then he continued with a story about a baseball game, a little league game. And he said that his son Shay was on the team but never got to play. Actually never even held a bat before. And it was the last game of the season. And it was the last inning, and his team was down 6 runs. So they figured they weren't going to win the game anyway. Let's let Shay play. So they said, "Shay, let's give you a ball glove. We're going to send you out in the right field. Right field where very few balls are hit." So the inning ended, and then his team came up to bat, and somehow his team scored 3 runs pretty quickly. And so they were only down, by 4 runs. And the bases were loaded, and it was Shay's turn to bat. Well, his father knew that he wasn't going to get the bat. But before he even got to say anything, one of his teammates said, "Hey, Shay, it's your turn to bat." So Shay picked up a bat, walked up to the plate for the first time, and the pitcher on the other team noticed who it was and stepped in a few feet and lobbed the ball to him. And Shay swung, and he missed terribly. So he got the ball back again, moved up even further, tossed the ball in, and Shay hit it. Only about a couple feet. And his teammate said, "Hey, Shay, run to first." So Shay ran to first. The pitcher had already picked the ball up. He could have thrown him out easily, but he picked the ball and threw it way out into right field. Shay made it to first base. And they said, the right fielder picked the ball up, and they said, "Shay, run to second." Shay wasn't even sure where second was. They pointed. Shay ran to second. The right fielder took the ball, had time to throw him out, but threw it way out in the right field. So Shay was on second. The second baseman who saw Shay said, "Hey, Shay, run to third." The right fielder took the ball, could have thrown him out at third, but threw it in the dugout. Shay made it to third base. So it was a tie score. And they all yelled, "Shay, run home, Shay." And Shay ran home and scored a winning run and became the hero of the game. The reason I tell you that is that sports are really important, but other things are a lot more important than that. You know, most of us are put on this earth and we're not really sure why. Many teach us that God has a plan for us, and although we may not know what it is, it's important that we try to follow his teachings. The important thing is many of us have difficulty with our children. It might be a learning disability like Shay's. It might be that our son or daughter doesn't play as much as we think they should. It might even be something a little bit worse than that. But regardless, they're our children, and we should love them. This story about Shay puts sports in a different light. Winning should not always be the ultimate goal. I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to win contests. We should. But we have to put everything in perspective. I lost a state cross-country championship once because a coach put an ineligible runner in the meet. The runner knew he was ineligible. The coach knew he was ineligible. His teammates knew he was ineligible. But the coach wanted to win a state champion so badly that he put the runner in there, and they won the state championship. Then I had to explain to my runners why they won. And they learned a very valuable lesson that day. I'd like to end with a pretty famous quote from a famous person. I think his name was Michelangelo. I don't know if you've heard of him before. But he said, "The greatest danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark." So dream big. Thank you again for your attention and for this great honor. And I pray that we continue our journey of life and remember to recognize all the shays in our lives and understand that our biggest reward is not a plaque, it's not a trophy, but it comes when we leave this earth. God bless you, and thanks again.
You don't need glasses when you speak from the heart, Coach. Well done. Cincinnati is clearly doing something right. One of all the places in the country where they could have chosen to reside, where they had family or friends of long standing, of all the places they could have lived, Dee Dee and Anthony Munoz chose to make their home and raise their family here in Cincinnati. We are a better community for their involvement, and the high school sports landscape has been forever changed because of their children's exploits. Michelle and Michael become the 10th siblings to be inducted to the LaRosa's Hall of Fame, and in this instance, age will prevail over beauty in the order of induction. When I spoke with Michael, he said he was very humbled yet excited when he heard he'd been named for induction. Quote, "It really wasn't on my radar, but it is really neat, especially considering that I get to go in with Michelle. That makes it really, really special." I will never forget the first time I saw Michael speak in public. I was standing next to John Popovich, Channel 9 sports director. It was August 1st of 1998, and Michael was introducing his dad at the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Canton, Ohio. Among Michael's more memorable remarks were these, talking about his dad. "No matter what happens, good or bad, easy or hard, I've seen you trust God and be consistent in what you say and what you do." He went on to say of his father, "You've been my model. I've learned to say, 'I'm sorry, I was wrong,' from you. Being big enough to admit your mistakes, you have modeled humility." And this is when I just cried like a baby when I heard this. "I have learned to respect women because of how you have loved and respected Mom." Michael Munoz was a 16-year-old sophomore at Muller High School at the time. Anything on top of that kind of character is gravy, and Michael had plenty more to offer over an outstanding high school and college career at the University of Tennessee and Muller. He credits his mom and dad with doing a great job as parents to help him keep things in perspective, to take the accolades with the same poise and grace as the setbacks. And he told me about looking out for opportunities to pass along that grace and that poise. And he told me about planting sunflowers with his 3 sons, one in a shallow bucket, it turns out, the other in a deeper one with more dirt on top of it, which engendered more sturdy root growth. He said, "We came home after a storm, and the one with the shallow roots didn't survive. The one with the more solid foundation, like people with principles, didn't topple when the winds blew. I used it as a teaching opportunity with my sons." I know many of us wanted Michael to have a longer football career, but it was God's plan that he be about his life's work, as Paul Brown used to refer to it, that he be about his life's work sooner than later. And so it is that he's gone on to be an exemplary husband and father, son and brother and uncle and businessman, and our next inductee to the LaRosa's High School Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Munoz, Muller High School, class of 2000.
Ray, you said something that made me realize that I could never be a Hall of Fame coach. If I were a jockey, I'd need one heck of a horse to get me around the track. But no, I appreciate Michael and Buddy, the committee, for nominating me and inducting me into the Hall of Fame. It's very humbling. I'm very excited about this opportunity, And I thought back to, I can't believe it was 13 years ago when I was sitting back in the back row, sitting in anticipation, nervous, excited. I'm a competitive guy, so I really wanted to win the athlete of the year. Things going through my head like, I'm just a lineman. I'm not going to win athlete of the year, but, I had a pretty good season. I might win, and just kind of justifying it in my mind. And when the time came that they announced the name, I'm kind of waiting, and they said, Michael Munoz. I said, whoa, could it be me? They said, do you think you could accept the award for your sister Michelle? She's running a little late. She's running a little late, so I appreciate you doing that. So I did learn, sports teaches you. I learned irony that day, and I also learned perspective. I was very happy for Michelle. And I'd like to thank my beautiful wife, Emily. We celebrated our 10th year of marriage this year in May. We have 3 boys, Jacob, JT, and Caleb. And so Emily has been unbelievable. You're my best friend, and you've made me a better person over these last 10 years. So I really appreciate you and what you've meant in my life. And to my family, Anthony and Dee Dee, and my sister Michelle, it's really cool to be able to celebrate this with you guys. And like I said, those many years ago, my dad has been my role model, a great example of what a man should be, what a father should be, what a husband should be, and my mom in the same way. How to take care of a family, how to support a husband, and your example of Christ in the church has been amazing for me, and so I appreciate that. And Michelle, it's been fun growing up, and you are always happy, always have a smile on your face, and it's been really exciting for me to see you become a wife and a mother to your sons and daughter, and so it's so exciting. Also with us are my in-laws, and they have been such a great support in my life, and over the last 11 years, really getting to know them and how godly they are, the great example that they are, and the great support system that they've been for our family has been awesome. And so I talked a little bit, I gave a story about what, one thing that I've learned through athletics and the people that are important to me in my life, because I do feel like athletics, the experiences and the people that we are involved with in our life shape who we are over time. And I feel like God uses both of those to shape us into the people that we are. Athletics is one thing, one series of events that God uses to shape us into the men and the women that we are. And I feel like it's very specific. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians actually uses athletic analogies to talk about our spiritual life. That we should run in a way to win the prize, that we should discipline our bodies and have control over it. And I feel like that's, those are a couple examples of the importance of sports in our lives to emphasize on so that we can be better people. And so during my time at Moeller, during my time at the University of Tennessee, I really feel like there were ups and downs. There were victories and there were defeats. And so I learned how to win with humility and lose with grace, and to work hard and to have these character traits like perseverance and determination. And I really feel like God's hand was on me during those times and over those years to shape me to who I am today. And I'm grateful for it. And I feel in the same way He had His hand on me, putting people into my life, putting experiences into my life to shape me into who I am today. And I feel like I'm better for it. So I would encourage everyone sitting in the back row to keep your eyes open as you go into this next chapter of your life, because you're going to experience great things, great victories, and great defeats. And I feel like if you keep your eyes open and you try to learn through that process, you'll be sitting here 10, 15 years from now, better people, if you keep that in mind. So thanks again for this opportunity. It's a great honor, and I'm very humbled. So.
And now to the softer side of the Munoz family daily double. Right. Soft is not a term applied to Michelle Munoz during her outstanding career at Mason High School and later at the University of Tennessee and Ohio State University by her adversaries. Michelle tells me that she got the call from Mike LaRosa. She saw the 347-1111 number on her caller ID and thought it had something to do with ordering pizza. Being thoroughly engrossed with her mom mode with 3 children, and that's understandable. She thought it was some kind of scam or promotion, or she consulted Dad, who advised her, return the call, Michelle. And that's when she got the shocking news, at least to her, that she'd been named for induction to the LaRosa's Hall of Fame. She told me, I'm not sure that it's sunk in yet. I am extremely honored. I'm sure that she will tell you that herself. Michelle credits her parents with doing a great job raising her and Michael and for helping her keep sports in a proper perspective. Quote, if you are defined by sports, it is hard to move on when it is over. I put sports to work for me. I didn't work for sports. I cherish my former teammates, our experiences. It is fun to reminisce and have fun with them, the good times and great competitions we all had, but it wasn't all consuming with my brother and myself. It was something we did. When it was over, we were able to gracefully move on. I enjoyed using my God-given ability. It was a blessing, and it certainly prepared me for motherhood. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next inductee to the LaRosa's High School Hall of Fame from the Mason High School class of 2001, the 2-time Ohio Miss Basketball, Michelle Munoz-Trends.
He took my speech. That's exactly what I was going to say. I know Michael did my first one, so I wasn't expecting to have to get up here and talk, but I will. And he took my first story, too. I did get the call in November, 347-1111. I was like 8 months pregnant, so I thought, maybe I did call LaRosa's. I don't know. I was just having a craving. And I called my dad. He's like, no, you should call, yeah. And sometimes, I think part of it is I feel so far removed. I mean, it's been 12 years, I guess, since I played in high school, and I think I sometimes forget how much of my life I did spend playing basketball and what a big part of life that was. But I will say it's not completely out of me, because on Friday, our oldest is 3, and he came to me with a boxing glove, and he kind of gave me a little jab to the side, and he said, Mommy, I just boxed you out. And I said, oh, no, no, no. That's not a box out. And I showed him exactly what a box out was. And I even quizzed him this morning before we left to come here. I was like, now what is a box out, Austin? And he knew exactly what to do. So I guess it's really never too early to start teaching, you know. But seriously, I'm honored to now be a part of the LaRosa's Hall of Fame. I want to thank the LaRosa family. I think what everybody has said about them is such a reflection of their character and who they are as a family. So thank you all for this wonderful event. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee, wonderful people, coaches. It's nice to see some familiar faces from, years back and talk to them. And just for everybody that's been involved in putting this event on. It truly is an honor to be here, and it's a great event. I want to thank God, most importantly, for his love and his grace that he's shown me day in and day out throughout my life. He's blessed me so much, and I have many of those blessings here with me today. We've mentioned a few of them. My brother kind of touched on it, but he didn't talk about Luke. I don't think Luke will hold you against it, though. He's my husband and best friend we've been married 6.5 years now, and he's more than I ever could have prayed for. In fact, back in high school, I kind of jotted down different characteristics to pray for in a husband, and I even had a bonus section. And he was every single one of those. So God is good. And we often joke, too, that our injuries, we talk about adversity, and going through tough times. And in my 4 years in college, I had 3 ankle surgeries and a fractured knee. And 3 of my foot surgeries and 2 of his, so 5, were done by the same doctor. So we talk about how our injuries have brought us together. So that was pretty fun. Well, not at the time, but But you never know how God's going to use the hard times to work good. And so I think, it's 12 years out, you look back, it was a hard time, but he's really done some really neat things through all of that pain. And he doesn't, as my mom has said over and over, he doesn't waste your pain. And you've heard we have 3 little ones who might be watching. Well, no, they're probably napping, but there are 3, Austin's 3, Carson's 2, and then Caitlin is 6 months old. And as I've gotten older and become a wife and a parent myself, I just want to thank my parents for being such great parents. I've just appreciated you guys more and more every day. You've sacrificed so much. And I think I'm starting to realize a little bit of how much time you invested into us day in and day out. And man, during the summer, I just think about all those hot gyms without air conditioning that they sat through. I mean, we were running around, so you're hot anyway, but they were there with little fans. And I just want to thank you for always being there and for teaching us what's most important, for loving Jesus and for loving others so well. So thank you. And I love that my brother is up here. It actually calmed me down that he came before me. So I think that might be a role of a big brother, just to kind of give you that peace. But it's so fun to be able to go through this together with you. And I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. So thank you guys for making that happen. And it's just so fun, like as kids, we had so many great memories, and now being parents, and having our children play together, it's just such a sweet blessing. And Emily's been a great sister in love, we like to call that. So I want to thank you guys. And then I'd also like to thank Luke's family for being here. Some of them, they couldn't all be here, but my parents in love, Paul and Jane Trends, are here. And I couldn't have prayed for a better family to marry into. They're just such a blessing, and they've invested so much into their kids, and now invest into us as we're grown children. And also Jill, who's one of his sisters. I didn't grow up with any sisters, but now I have 4, so it's pretty neat. So Jill and Eric Sillis. So thank you guys for being here. You all are very special to me. My coaches couldn't be here, I don't think, but we talk about just the impact that coaches have. And every single one of my coaches has helped me in some way, ever since I started playing in 5th grade all the way through college. And so I'm really thankful for them just taking that time. It's just so much time and love and effort that they pour into helping us when we're probably not the easiest to work with all the time. So I'm very thankful for that. And for Mr. Rod Russell, our athletic director at the time at Mason, thank you for being here. Just like the coaches, you invested so much time. Countless hours, you were there at all the games. I mean, it's a lot of work, so appreciate it. And I was able to play with his daughter, Blair, so that was fun. And so thank you to everybody. And we have such a great community. I know you're talking about Madeira, just Mason. I remember going to state and driving our bus through the city, and everyone was out cheering, and they just were always wanting the best for us. And that's something that I'll always remember, and our teammates. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I guess as you can tell, there are so many people that have loved and helped me along the way, my family's friends, teammates, coaches, and I think what's neat is that we aren't meant to be in this life alone, and I'm thankful for everybody that's, been a part of my life. So, and also congratulations to all the inductees, especially Kayla. Special place in my heart, so I'm thankful for her. She's a great girl. So this is such an honor, and congratulations to all the other inductees. Yes.
Well done. Dee Dee, Anthony, you did good. Our next inductee admits she was a little surprised with the call that welcomed her to the LaRosa's High School Hall of Fame. Despite my assurances otherwise, Holly Porter Little, Wyoming class of 1993, protested, "I'm so old for this." I'm not old. I would submit that Holly Porter will always be young at heart, and thankful for the opportunities afforded her in the unique community that is Wyoming. Quote, "For being a small community, everybody has your back. Your neighbors, your friends, and their parents. Their support is legendary. For all of that continuity, though, some things have changed since she excelled in several sports, but most notably basketball. She is not a fan of kids being pigeonholed, as she referred to, into one sport. She theorizes that a lot of her success came because she used different muscle groups playing different sports over the course of a school year. She is of a mind that now kids might be more inclined to suffer injuries from using the same muscles over and over, overuse, specializing in one sport, and moreover, that it could lead to burnout. Quoting Holly now, "It was exciting for me to have one season be over and move into a different sport as the seasons changed. One thing that doesn't change is that the cream rises to the top. Today's successful players manage to ignore the cascade of intrusions that vie for their attention, that despite indications that they want to do it their way, that kids still want to be held accountable, that they want discipline, that they want to be focused, that they want to succeed and be the best they can be. Holly Porter Little is the embodiment of that, and with that, we welcome the pride of Wyoming High School class of 1993 to the LaRosa's High School Hall of Fame. Holly?
Thank you. Thank you. I apologize, I do better with the ball in my hand than speaking. So, first I want to thank the LaRosa family for their amazing support and recognition of high school athletics over the years. When I was playing for Boston College, I was often asked by the East Coasters what there was in Ohio besides farmland and cows. And they would often question why I would want to go back there. My comment was always the same: it's the people. You will not find better quality or more family-oriented people than in our hometown, and I think the LaRosa family is a great representation of what makes this city so special and why we're proud to call it home. I also want to thank my coaches and teammates. Without either of them, I would not have accomplished even half of what I did, and I'm so grateful for their time and effort. When I first started playing at AAU at the age of 11, not like 3 or 4 that they do now, the coaches volunteered their time and energy. It was not the moneymaker it is today. Deb Gentili and Mary Jo Huseman were two of the most dedicated and unyielding coaches I've ever met, and if it weren't for them, again, I'm not sure I'd be standing here. I want to thank my family. I can't think of any other word than truly blessed. My older sister, Barry, role modeled what it was like to work hard and never quit. I'm going to skip the rest. I'm thankful for her. I want to thank my parents. When I talk to parents today, they ask me what my thoughts are on the camps, what camps to send their kids to, and how many days a week they should be doing speed and agility training, or what select team they need to be on, or what, to get to the next level. And all I can think is how much easier it was for me when I was growing up and playing sports. My parents never put pressure on me or expectations on me other than when you commit to something, you finish with your best effort. The expectation was never for me to play in order to achieve or receive a full ride. That was the result of hard work and commitment. That in and of itself was a blessing. I never felt I had to play in order to go to college, and maybe that was why it was so much fun, and I never felt pressure to perform. You also never really appreciate or understand the lengths and levels your parents go to until you become a parent and can fully realize that to drive 40 minutes to the other side of town for practice or sit in an air-conditioned gym for a couple of hours until you have to drive home, or better yet, when you have 2 days and that drive is quadrupled, or spending your vacation days in glamorous places like Clovis, New Mexico, or Shreveport, Louisiana for national tournaments, what a selfless and amazing thing it is to have parents who support you and encourage your dreams in every way. I only hope and pray that when our kids find out what their passions are and what the road they want to take, that we will be prepared and willing like my parents were. I know I could go on and on about all the things that I'm thankful to my parents for, but now that I am a parent, I know that they would have done it without one thank you, and I just hope they know their support has made me the person that I am today. Thank you.
There will be great athletes in years to come to populate the tri-state, but in all probability, the versatility of guys like Tad Schroeder will never be seen again and accommodated as high school sports becomes more and more specialized. He was a guy on the go when he started for the Withrow Tigers in the early 1950s. 13 varsity letters in 5 different sports. That will likely never happen again. A football coach, for instance, is not going to let a player the caliber of Tad Schroeder, who led the Tigers as a sophomore quarterback to the PHSL title in 1951, not going to let him run the risk of injury playing basketball and vice versa. The prospects for injury in his other chosen pursuits, baseball, swimming, and track, of course, aren't nearly as dire, but that's how Tad Schroeder liked it. Keep